Hey fam, it's Coach Rob from Team Flex. Today we're going to talk about Pittsburgh Pro figure. We're going to go over the criteria, we're going to go over our placings, we're going to go over how they landed and why they did, and what it means for you if you want to compete in figure, or even if you just like watching figure. We're going to go into it all and we're going to talk all about it, all right? That's what we do on this channel. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button because you're crazy. I do this all the time, and you know, people do enjoy it. They get a lot out of it. Trust me. Go ahead and subscribe, all right? Let's get to it. So here's what we're looking at. We're talking about our first three ladies here at Pittsburgh Pro in figure. Here's our winner, Natalia, okay? We got Maria in second, and then we got Erica over here in third. Now, clearly, when we see this is figure division. If you're new and you don't understand figures criteria, I'll explain it real quick. It's basically about getting the craziest V taper you can get. And this is a combination of muscle, and it's a combination of, you know, conditioning, and it's a combination of also making sure that the lower body is there as well. You got to have that right muscularity to match. Figure is up, down, left to right, symmetrical, and that is the key. The most symmetrical physique will be the one that takes the cake, okay? So here's our top three ladies, and we get to look at them here and kind of see, you know, overall, there's some blatant differences and a lot of similarities. Everybody's got really good shoulder shape. You got to have those big shoulders in figure, you know, the boulder shoulder look, if you will. And you got to create this size without creating too much striation or anything like that. That'll score you down. But all three of these ladies really pulled that together. Obviously, you need to have the lats and everything else tie in, and then you got to have that lower body match. So let's talk a little bit about how these placings really turned out. So Natalia here, you know, in my opinion, just nailed this look. She's got really dominant shoulder look. Like you say, whoa, okay, instantly, bam, there's the shoulder. That's what starts off our V taper, right? That's that first bit of that taper. Ties right into her lat size. She's got really good width in her lats and tapers very, very nicely into a super narrow waist. So again, exactly what judges want, exactly what they're looking for right out the gate. We see it. If we look over here at Maria, we see a lot of the similarities, but less size in the shoulder overall, less dramatic in a taper into the lats, and a little bit wider in the waist. So all the framework still came together. Still a very great physique, still a great representation of the criteria, just not really pulling all those different, you know, ratios that Natalia is here, okay? Now, looking over here at Erica, you know, she does not have the same amount of shoulder shape, I think. She's got really good lat sweep, good in the waist here. Everything ties together nicely there. But again, you know, I think she needs more size in the shoulders. So that's really going to be a factor for how Natalia clearly is pulling the placing here. Lower body wise, again, we get to see a little bit more difference. So Natalia really got good quad development. She's got everything there. She's nailed this conditioning, right? Where we can see all the lines, we can see all the separations, we can see these things, but it's not deep cuts. It's not graininess. It's not, you know, oh, chiseled in my face like this is made out of granite like we'd see in some of the leaner divisions, you know, like women's physique or women's bodybuilding. So really nailed the look very nicely, and her lower body is very symmetrical to the upper body. Again, that's, you know, key factor that you want to have. I think Maria has a little bit less size, still good condition, still pulled it together, a little bit less size in the lower body. So again, that makes the waist look just a little bit thicker, and that's a factor, I think, in the placing. Over here, looking at Erica, you know, again, dials it right in. Lower body, her lower body is actually one of the best parts of her physique there. It just really doesn't tie to the shoulders as much as it could. The shoulders need to be a little bit bigger in my opinion there, all right? So looking at that now, let's go to the back. Figure is one from the back, and this is where we get to see, you know, the placings probably tighten up here a lot. Very symmetrical, very similar looks on these ladies here, but overall, I think it still is the same message. You get to see that, you know, Natalia here really nails that shoulder size, the overall fullness of the shoulder. We got scabs, we got traps, we got really wide lats, good depth to the back too. Judges are looking for that depth. So if you want to be a figure competitor, get the thickness to your back, not just the width. Got to have the width and also the thickness. But where I think Natalia stands out is the lower body. She pulls it together here. Glutes shape good, upper glutes good, overall glute structure good, quad structure, hamstring. You can see all of this together. And I mean, it's just showing, hey, got a lot of muscle, and I also brought that conditioning. So clearly I'm first. Give it to me. You know, like that's really what her look is. Very dominant on this stage and in this lineup. Now looking over here at Maria, okay, this upper body looks insane, right? Like she's got a lot of depth to these muscles, a lot of depth to the, you know, the shoulders and the back and everything here. But, you know, lower body does not really show up the same way for me. I think her lower body kind of gets lost, and it's a little bit lost in the front pose. It's definitely lost a little bit more in the back. So I think a little more muscle development here and a little bit better, you know, depth to that condition in the lower body would have gone a long way for her. But again, remember, we're talking about our top 3 at this competition, at one of the biggest, best bodybuilding competitions in the world. Very good physiques across the board, all great representations of criteria. I'm just going more in depth to try to explain. Now here again, we look over here at Erica, and to me again, she just needs more size. She needs a little bit more size in the upper body. It's not really showing up the same. Very conditioned look, but I think if she had more muscle, would pull it through. Now let's go ahead and take a look at our first, Natalia here, compared to Madison, our 4th place, and over here Maggie, our 5th. So this is where we get to see again figure criteria stand out. More is not always better. I think we see that right out the gate. Okay, so Natalia, our winner here, you know, a lot of similarities honestly to Madison, but I think Madison's a look overall not as muscular, not as dramatic of a V taper, a lot thicker in the waist, doesn't have as much lat width, you know, needs probably a little bit more shoulder size, and conditioning's not really even. Lower body looks really hard compared to what the upper body looks like. So I think that's a factor we'll see when we get to the back, like I always tell you. And then we got Maggie over here, who really brought a humongous V-tapered look, but it's just too much muscle and it's not very even, right? Like you can see huge shoulders, a lot of lat width, very narrow waist. This is all really good, but the lower body looks, you know, a little bit out of shape compared to that. It doesn't look like it's as, you know, conditioned, not showing through in the same exact lines. And also the size factor. I think her size is just pushing too much. She could easily probably go into another division like women's physique, or even consider going to women's bodybuilding and do very, very well there. And she's still doing great here, but I'm just saying that's a lot of muscle, and that's almost pushing the criteria envelope here. And I think that's probably a message from judges that yes, that is the case, considering that's a 5th. All right, and we see from the back here, this is where things all tighten up and tie together a little bit more. The back, you know, we always say it's one from the back. It is. Again, we'll talk about it more. So we don't need to talk about Natalia too much more. We already did, but this is where, again, we get to see some blatant differences. So upper body wise and everything, lower body wise here from Madison, it's just an uneven look in my opinion. Needs a little bit of work there to tighten up that conditioning to make it up and down more symmetrical there, and also just needs more muscularity in the lower body and the legs. Not getting the same effect, you know, out of her glutes and her hamstrings and her quads as we are from Natalia, which is a much more dense, compiled look, okay? And over here, looking at Maggie, you know, Maggie looks humongous and crazy from the front, still does from the back, but the lower body just gets totally lost here. It looks very not symmetrical. So that's a key factor, I think, as well for her. Just pushing too much size, and also it doesn't really show in the conditioning department. Like her glutes and her hamstrings look much softer than her upper body does. And so that size, you know, and this happens a lot with competitors that carry a lot of size, harder and harder to get that conditioning dialed. So that's our Pittsburgh Pro figure. Really great representations of criteria. Great job to all these competitors. And, you know, hopefully you learned something you can take with you. Figure, it's the key. You got to be in that V-tapered zone. You got to have that look. You want that up, down, left, right symmetry. You want to make sure everything's conditioned and tight. You want to make sure it's all coming in. And the most that you can do to get that, the better. So build bigger shoulders, build a bigger back, build more depth, and also make sure to keep your waist tight. And then make sure you got the lower body to match. That's what we're seeing across the board. And that's how you will be the best figure competitor on stage. All right, I want to know what you think. What do you think of these placings? Do you agree? Should you think somebody else should have won? Do you think Maggie should have actually won, even though she's in 5th? Do you think Natalia should be, you know, 2nd, 3rd? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're new here, remember, we give YouTube the name. We say, hey, YouTube, we like bodybuilding stuff. We want more bodybuilding stuff when we hit that thumbs up. So please do it. Thank you for watching. Coach Rye is out.